The galaxy's greatest terror, the Aquan Empire strikes. The emergency sirens wailed across New Geneva Station as Admiral Rebecca Stone rushed through the corridors. Her boots echoed against the metal floor while red warning lights flashed overhead. In 30 years of military service, she had never seen the command center in such chaos. Officers shouted coordinates and status reports across the room as holographic displays showed the destruction of entire star systems. "Admiral, you need to see this," called Lieutenant Commander Hayes from the main tactical display. The young officer's face was pale with fear as he pointed to the massive screen dominating the center of the room. The hologram showed a blue and silver fleet moving through space like deadly predators hunting their prey. Rebecca moved closer to study the alien vessels. Each ship looked organic, almost alive, with flowing curves that resembled sea creatures from Earth's ancient oceans. Strange pods along their sides pulsed with bright blue light, and from these pods came humanity's newest nightmare. "The Kepler colony," Hayes continued, his voice barely steady. "Population 2 million. They hit it 3 hours ago." The display changed to show what remained of the once thriving human settlement. Twisted metal and debris floated in space where buildings and homes once stood. Not a single structure had survived the attack. The weapon that conquered worlds. Dr. Elena Vasquez stepped forward from the group of scientists and military advisors gathered around the display. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, and her lab coat showed signs of sleepless nights spent studying intercepted Aquan technology. She had been Earth's leading expert on alien weaponry since the first contact wars began. "The Aquans call them hydro weapons," she explained, manipulating the hologram to show a close-up of the alien attack. "They use pressurized water moving at nearly the speed of light. The water maintains its liquid form through some kind of molecular control we don't understand." The recording showed streams of water shooting from the Aquan ships. These weren't ordinary water jets. They moved with impossible precision, cutting through the colony's defensive shields like they were made of paper. When the water hit the metal structures, it didn't splash or scatter. Instead, it carved perfect holes through solid steel and concrete. "How is that possible?" asked Colonel Marcus Webb, Earth's chief military strategist. His weathered face showed the stress of losing 3 major battles against these creatures in the past month. Elena adjusted her glasses and pulled up another display. "Water is one of the most abundant substances in the universe. The Aquans have learned to control it at the molecular level. They can make it harder than diamond or sharper than any blade we've ever created. Their home world is 90% ocean, so they have unlimited ammunition. Humanity's failing defense." Captain Sarah Mitchell stood quietly at the back of the room, watching the chaos unfold around her. At 35, she was one of Earth's youngest fleet commanders, but her record spoke for itself. She had led successful missions against the Gorthic pirates and survived the siege of Titan Base. Her short auburn hair and steady green eyes gave her a calm presence that soldiers found reassuring in battle. But this was different. The Aquans weren't like any enemy humanity had faced before. Their technology seemed almost magical, turning the most common substance in the universe into an unstoppable weapon. 3 human fleets had engaged them in combat. None had returned. "Captain Mitchell," Admiral Stone called across the room. "Your thoughts on our defensive options?" Sarah stepped forward, her uniform crisp despite the long hours of crisis meetings. "With respect, Admiral, we don't have defensive options. I studied the battle recordings from Proxima Station and the Mars defense grid. Our shields can't stop their water weapons. Our armor gets cut through like it's not there. Traditional tactics won't work." The room fell silent. Everyone knew she was right. But hearing it spoken aloud made the situation feel even more hopeless. The Aquan Empire had conquered 47 star systems in the past 2 years. Their blue-skinned warriors had never lost a single battle. Entire species had surrendered rather than face their hydro weapons. "The Zenthari tried to surrender," Hayes said quietly, referring to one of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. "The Aquans destroyed their home world anyway. They said the Zen theory had resisted too long and needed to be made an example. The desperate plan. Dr. Marcus Chen entered the command center carrying a tablet and looking like he hadn't slept in days. His usually neat appearance was disheveled, and his hand shook slightly from too much caffeine and stress. As Earth's leading physicist, he had been working around the clock to find some weakness in Aquan technology. "I may have something," he announced, causing every conversation in the room to stop. "It's dangerous, probably impossible, and definitely crazy. But it might be our only chance." Admiral Stone gestured for him to continue. "Doctor, at this point, impossible might be exactly what we need." Chen activated his tablet and projected a three-dimensional diagram into the air above the tactical display. It showed a sleek spacecraft unlike anything in Earth's current fleet. The ship's design was aggressive and angular, with a distinctive red glow emanating from its center. "The Equans have one weakness," Chen explained, his voice gaining confidence as he spoke. "They're from a water world. Their bodies, their technology, their entire way of thinking is based on liquid states. They've never encountered extreme heat used as a weapon." "Heat?" Colonel Webb asked. "We've tried plasma cannons. The water just absorbs the energy." "Not enough heat," Chen replied, highlighting different sections of his ship design. "I'm talking about temperatures that would make the surface of the sun seem cool. A ship built around a thermal core that can reach 50,000 degrees Celsius." The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Such temperatures were theoretically possible, but had never been attempted on a spacecraft. The engineering challenges alone seemed insurmountable. "The ship would need to be completely redesigned," continued Chen. "New materials, new propulsion systems, new everything. But if we could build it, their water weapons would vaporize before they could reach us. The steam expansion would create a defensive barrier while simultaneously powering our engines." The Phoenix Rising project. Captain Mitchell studied the holographic ship design with growing interest. While others saw the impossibility of the project, she saw opportunity. "How long would it take to build?" she asked. Chen's enthusiasm dimmed slightly. "Under normal circumstances, with unlimited resources and the best engineers in human space, maybe 2 years. We have 3 weeks before the Aquan fleet reaches Earth." "Then we don't build it under normal circumstances," Sarah said firmly. She turned to Admiral Stone. "Give me every engineer, every scientist, and every resource Earth has available. I'll make this work." Admiral Stone looked around the room at the faces of humanity's best military minds. They all knew this was likely a suicide mission. The experimental ship would be untested, built with technology that had never been tried, and crewed by volunteers who might not survive their first battle. "The project is approved," Stone announced. "Captain Mitchell, you have full authority to requisite anything you need. This ship is humanity's last hope. Building the impossible." The lunar construction facility had never seen activity like this. Thousands of workers labored around the clock, welding, assembling, and installing systems that existed only in theoretical models. The ship took shape slowly, its angular hull gleaming under the artificial lights of the construction bay. Sarah stood on the observation deck, watching teams of engineers install the thermal core that would be the heart of their weapon. The core itself was a marvel of human ingenuity, capable of containing temperatures that would instantly vaporize any known material. Special crystalline walls, grown in zero-gravity laboratories, were the only things capable of containing such heat. "Captain," called Chief Engineer Rodriguez as he approached with a tablet full of status reports. His usually cheerful demeanor was strained from the pressure of the impossible deadline. "The thermal core is installed and tested. We're getting stable temperatures up to 40,000 degrees. "Not enough," Sarah replied. "Dr. Chen's calculations require 50,000 minimum. What's limiting us?" Rodriguez pulled up the technical specifications on his tablet. "The containment crystals can handle the heat, but the power coupling keeps overloading. We need a new approach to channel that much energy." Sarah studied the data for several minutes, her mind working through the engineering problems. Then she had an idea that was either brilliant or completely insane. "What if we don't try to contain all the energy?" she asked. "What if we let some of it escape in controlled bursts?" Rodriguez looked confused. "Captain, that would be like trying to control a miniature star. One mistake, and the ship would be vaporized instantly. Or," Sarah said with a slight smile, "it would give us the most powerful weapon system ever built. The heat bursts could be directed through specialized channels, creating focused thermal beams." The crew of the Phoenix Rising. As the ship neared completion, Sarah began assembling her crew. She needed people who were not only skilled but willing to risk everything for humanity's survival. The Phoenix Rising would require a level of trust and coordination that most crews took years to develop. Lieutenant Commander Alex Park became her second in command. The former fighter pilot had lost his family when the Aquans destroyed the mining colony on Europa. His steady nerves and tactical brilliance made him perfect for the dangerous mission ahead. Dr. Yuki Tanaka signed on as chief medical officer and also served as the ship's xenobiologist. Her expertise in alien physiology might prove crucial if they encountered Aquan survivors or prisoners. Master Chief Petty Officer Jake Morrison took charge of the ship's defensive systems. The veteran soldier had served in more battles than anyone else on the crew and understood better than most what they were facing. Finally, Dr. Chen himself joined the crew as chief science officer. His intimate knowledge of the thermal core systems would be essential for keeping the experimental technology functioning under combat conditions. The first test. With only 5 days remaining before the Aquan fleet's arrival, the Phoenix Rising was ready for its first powered test. Sarah stood on the bridge, surrounded by displays showing every system on the ship. The thermal core glowed with barely contained energy, casting an eerie red light through the specialized viewing ports. "All stations report ready," announced Alex from his position at the tactical console. "Engineering reports thermal core stable at 45,000 degrees, called Rodriguez from the engine room over the comm system." Sarah took a deep breath and settled into the captain's chair. "Begin test sequence. Bring thermal core to 50,000 degrees. The bridge lights dimmed as massive amounts of power flowed to the ship's heart. Temperature readings climbed steadily while the crew monitored dozens of critical systems. At 48,000 degrees, warning alarms began to sound. "Core containment showing stress fractures," reported Chen from his science station. "Hull temperature rising beyond safe limits," added Morrison. Sarah watched the readings climb higher. 49,000 degrees. The ship shook as thermal expansion stressed the hull beyond its design limits. 50,000 degrees. For a moment, everything held steady. Then the thermal core achieved something no human technology had ever accomplished. The temperature gauge read 52,000 degrees Celsius, and the ship remained intact. "Test successful," Sarah announced to cheers from the crew. "All stations, prepare for combat operations. The Aquans won't know what hit them." But even as her crew celebrated this achievement, Sarah knew the real test was yet to come. In 5 days, they would face an enemy that had never been defeated, using technology that had never been tried in battle. The fate of humanity rested on their experimental ship and the courage of its crew. The Phoenix Rising was ready to either save humanity or die trying. The battle for Earth's survival. The Aquan fleet arrives. The deep space sensors detected them first. 47 massive ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, their blue hulls gleaming like deadly jewels against the black of space. The Aquan fleet moved with the confidence of conquerors who had never tasted defeat. On the bridge of the Phoenix Rising, Captain Sarah Mitchell watched the enemy approach on the main display. Each Aquan vessel was 3 times larger than the biggest ship in Earth's fleet, their organic curves making them look more like living creatures than machines of war. Pods along their sides pulsed with the blue energy that powered their hydro weapons. "Fleet composition analysis complete," reported Lieutenant Commander Alex Park from his tactical station. 32 destroyer-class vessels, 12 heavy cruisers, and 3 command ships. Estimated crew complement: over 100,000 Aquan warriors. Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. The Phoenix Rising was humanity's only hope against this armada. Earth's remaining defense fleets had been ordered to maintain a defensive perimeter around the planet, but everyone knew they would last minutes against the Aquan hydro weapons. "Signal from the lead Aquan vessel," announced Communications Officer Torres. "Put it through," Sarah ordered. The main screen filled with the image of an Aquan commander. The alien's blue skin seemed to ripple like water, and its large black eyes showed no emotion as it spoke in perfect, if stilted, English. "I am Fleet Commander Azul of the Aquan Empire. You will surrender your world and submit to our rule, or we will demonstrate why 47 civilizations have chosen obedience over destruction." Sarah stood from her captain's chair, her posture straight and defiant. "This is Captain Sarah Mitchell of the Earth vessel Phoenix Rising. Your empire ends here. Leave our system now, and we'll let you return home with your lives." The Aquan commander's expression didn't change, but several other aliens could be seen moving around the bridge behind him. They seemed surprised by the human's bold response. "You speak of letting us live?" Azul asked, his voice carrying what might have been amusement. "No species has ever threatened the Aquan Empire and survived. We will make your destruction quick as a reward for your bravery." The transmission ended, and Sarah turned to her crew. Every face on the bridge showed determination mixed with fear. They all knew the odds against them, but they also knew that retreat was not an option. The first strike. "Enemy fleet dividing into attack formations," reported Alex, his fingers flying over the tactical controls. 20 ships moving to surround us, the rest maintaining position near the outer planets." Sarah nodded. The Aquans were being cautious, using only a portion of their fleet to test this unknown human vessel. That caution might be the only advantage humanity had. "All hands, battle stations," she announced over the ship's intercom. "This is what we trained for. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every world that's ever feared the Aquan Empire." The Phoenix Rising moved toward the approaching enemy ships, its thermal core glowing brighter as Dr. Chen increased power output. The ship's revolutionary design allowed it to channel the incredible heat through specialized conduits, creating both defensive barriers and offensive weapons. "First wave of enemy vessels entering weapon range," Alex announced. "They're charging their hydro cannons." "Thermal core at maximum output," reported Chen from his science station. "Hull temperature holding steady at safe levels. We're ready for anything they can throw at us." The lead Aquan destroyer fired its primary weapon. A massive stream of pressurized water shot toward the Phoenix Rising at nearly light speed. In every previous battle, this weapon had cut through enemy vessels like they were made of paper. But as the water stream approached the Phoenix Rising, something unprecedented happened. The ship's thermal field, extending nearly 50 meters from the hull, instantly vaporized the incoming water. The resulting steam expansion created a massive cloud that obscured both ships from each other. "Direct hit on our thermal barrier," reported Morrison from the weapons station. "No damage to hull or systems. Steam cloud is dissipating." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The first part of their plan had worked perfectly. Return fire. Show them what real heat can do. The power of fire. The Phoenix Rising's main weapons were unlike anything ever built. Instead of traditional projectiles or energy beams, they fired concentrated streams of superheated plasma reaching temperatures of over 60,000 degrees. The heat was so intense that it literally burned away the molecular bonds holding matter together. The first thermal beam lanced out from the Phoenix Rising, striking the Aquan destroyer that had just attacked them. The blue hull began to glow, then buckle, then simply vanish as the heat consumed the ship's structure at the atomic level. In seconds, the massive vessel was reduced to expanding gas and debris. The remaining Aquan ships immediately changed tactics. Instead of single streams, they began firing coordinated volleys from multiple vessels. Dozens of water weapons converged on the Phoenix, rising from all directions. Multiple incoming streams. Alex called out, his voice tense with concentration. Thermal barriers engaging automatically. The space around the Phoenix rising became a chaotic mix of water and steam as the hydro weapons met the ship's heat field. The vaporization process created a constant fog that made visual targeting nearly impossible, but the ship's advanced sensors could track enemy positions through the steam clouds. "Engineering to bridge," came Rodriguez's voice over the comm. "The thermal core is performing beyond expectations. We're actually gaining energy from vaporizing their water attacks. The steam expansion is feeding additional power to our engines." Sarah felt a surge of hope. Dr. Chen's theoretical calculations were proving correct in the most dramatic way possible. The Aquan's greatest strength was becoming their greatest weakness, turning the tide. As the battle continued, the Phoenix Rising began to demonstrate the full extent of its capabilities. The ship could move faster than any Aquan vessel because their steam-powered engines were constantly refueled by enemy attacks. The thermal barriers provided perfect protection against hydro weapons while simultaneously creating offensive opportunities. "Target the command ship's water storage pods," Sarah ordered, pointing to one of the larger Aquan vessels on the tactical display. Morrison adjusted his targeting systems and fired a concentrated thermal beam at the enemy ship's weapon storage. The result was spectacular. As the heat reached the pressurized water supplies, the entire section of the ship exploded in a massive steam eruption that tore the vessel apart from within. The Aquan fleet began to retreat, but Sarah wasn't about to let them escape to attack other worlds. "Pursuit course," she ordered. "We end this here and now." The Phoenix Rising chased after the fleeing Aquan ships, its thermal weapons reaching out across space to touch one vessel after another. Each hit resulted in the same devastating effect as the ship's heat turned the aliens' own water supplies against them. Within 2 hours of the battle's beginning, only 15 Aquan ships remained operational. The rest had been destroyed or disabled by the Phoenix Rising's revolutionary thermal weapons. The Aquan surrender. Fleet Commander Azul appeared on the main screen once again, but this time his demeanor was completely different. The arrogant conqueror had been replaced by a desperate survivor. "Captain Mitchell," he said, his voice lacking its previous confidence, "we request terms for surrender." Sarah studied the alien commander for a long moment. In her hand, she held the power to destroy what remained of the Aquan fleet, but she also held the opportunity to do something no other species had managed, to make the Aquans understand that conquest would no longer be tolerated. "Your terms are simple," she replied. "Withdraw from all occupied systems. Return the worlds you've conquered to their original inhabitants. Dismantle your war fleet and convert your ships to peaceful purposes." "And if we refuse?" Azul asked. Sarah gestured to the tactical display, which showed the burning remains of 32 Aquan vessels drifting through space. "Then you'll join your fleet in becoming cosmic dust." Azul looked around his bridge at his surviving crew members. The defeat had clearly shaken their entire worldview. For generations, the Aquans had believed their hydro weapons made them invincible. Now they faced an enemy that turned their greatest strength into a fatal weakness. "We accept your terms," Azul said finally. "The Aquan Empire will withdraw from all conquered territories and seek peaceful coexistence with other species. A new era begins." News of the Aquan defeat spread throughout the galaxy faster than light travel. Species that had lived in terror of the blue-skinned conquerors suddenly found themselves free. Worlds that had been enslaved for decades began the process of rebuilding their civilizations. The Phoenix Rising returned to Earth as a hero ship, but Sarah knew their work was far from over. The galaxy was full of other threats, other empires that might see the defeat of the Aquans as an opportunity to expand their own power. "Captain," Dr. Chen said, as they entered Earth's orbit, "I've been analyzing the battle data. The thermal core technology could be adapted for peaceful purposes as well. Terraforming dead worlds, powering space stations, even providing unlimited clean energy." Sarah nodded, looking out at the blue and white marble that was humanity's home. The Phoenix Rising had saved Earth, but more importantly, it had proven that human ingenuity could overcome any challenge. "Begin work on the next generation of thermal ships," she ordered. "If there are other species out there who think they can conquer peaceful worlds, they need to know that humanity stands ready to stop them." The age of equine terror was over. The age of human protection had begun. And across the galaxy, worlds that had known only fear finally dared to hope for a future filled with peace and freedom. The Phoenix Rising hung in orbit above Earth, its thermal core still glowing like a small sun, a reminder to all who saw it that sometimes the most impossible dreams become the most necessary realities.